change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
How about with raw foods? Have you noticed how that affects how your mind works and your emotions and how you relate to those?
Yeah. When I was eating a vegan diet, but not a raw vegan diet, although I definitely had some clear improvements over my crappy fast food diet prior to that, I still ate a lot of comfort food. I ate a lot of canned foods, a lot of vegan cheese fries, a lot of vegan burgers, a lot of vegan desserts and cookies, and wasn't a whole lot of green or bright fruity colors in my diet. And when I switched over to a raw diet, I noticed that there was a fog that lifted. That even on a vegan diet, I still had that fog.
Yeah.
People think simply going vegan is going to change everything, but that's not necessarily true. You can still have a really crappy vegan diet.
Yeah.
So there was this clarity that emerged, this depth of experience, this depth of feeling and emotion and sensation. Everything got amplified in my brain and its ability to connect to my body.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, wow, this is the best thing ever. Except that the more observant you are, the more sensitive you are, the more clearly you think, the harder it is to be around people making terrible choices. The harder it is to be in the midst of a culture that's got its head buried in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
So that numbing that helped me to exist in a society that's completely out of control was gone, and now I got to see and feel things more clearly, and that was hard. So I made some videos really early on in my diet saying raw food cured my depression because I thought it did, but then suddenly the world looked a hell of a lot uglier than it did prior to my raw diet, and now suddenly I had a new reason to be depressed. It's like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that.
So there's a plus and a minus to having that shift. You're like, wow, I feel like an alien. Look at these people. They don't see it.
Yeah.
So that can be hard.
It can be. And yeah, I've completely noticed the same thing. And I too noticed, it's more, I feel like, anxiety. Do you find a difference between anxiety and depression?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
I feel like before I got into this lifestyle, I dealt with a lot of depression and anxiety. And since I've been on this lifestyle, the depression has pretty much been eliminated. But my anxiety, which at first I thought was gone, it came back. But it's anxiety from a different reason, like you just said. And so, just being in the society that we are, it creates a lot of anxiety, plus the anxiety that, I just put on myself through, internal talk. But yeah, you definitely have that deeper connection and that awareness that's heightened that really makes you confront those feelings where before you maybe were not really connecting with it and it was kind of just flying under the radar.
Yeah.
Now it's out in the open and you have to address it.
And if you don't have the tools or the training to confront it and to address it, it can drive you nuts really quickly.
Yeah.
So that's been my journey for the past probably 6 years now, is understanding psychology and neuroscience. Like at first I was studying nutrition and biochemistry and physiology, and I wanted to know everything there was about diet. But this sensitivity and these thoughts and this isolation and this awareness just became so problematic for me that I'm like, wait a minute, diet isn't the only solution. It's part of the solution.
Right.
But there's this greater psychological framework that needs to be addressed first before you can succeed on the diet. Otherwise, the diet alone will drive you nuts. So now I primarily focus on studying psychology and neuroscience and how to effectively deal with the stuff that shows up, the anxiety that shows up, the thoughts that show up, the social issues that show up.
Yeah.
When you choose to move to this diet so that you're ready to handle it when it does there. So most of my tools now are about helping people find ways to approach diet and lifestyle change in a way that doesn't freak them or their family out.
Right.
The brain is not one organ. We talk about it as if it's one organ. I have a heart, I have a liver, I have a brain. But the brain is actually many, many different organs all clumped into one skull.
Mm-hmm.